I'm Nick Tran. I lead the veteran initiative for the largest oil field services company in the world, Schlumberger. And we have over 85, we're in 85 countries, over 100,000 people, and 140 different nationalities. So the story of mine is my father and I, we escaped Vietnam the day Saigon fell. So we escaped with just the clothes on our backs, and the airport had already been captured, so we had to go out to the port to get the last boat out. And we just headed out to sea just to escape, because my father was a colonel, and if he was captured, then he would have been executed. So we went out to sea, no plans, no food, no water. 3 days later, we ran out of food, ran out of water, ran out of fuel, and we were just waiting to die. But luckily, we were rescued by an American destroyer who took us to Guam, and we lived there as refugees for several months. So that was my first experience with the military. They rescued us. And America eventually opened her arms up to us, let us come in. And as I grew up, I realized that I felt a deep obligation to pay back the country that saved us and brought us in. So as soon as I could, after high school, I joined the military. I joined the Army, and I fought in Desert Storm. And then I felt after that, I felt that I still need to do some more, so I ended up fighting in Afghanistan. Most of my career in Afghanistan was in special operations. And then after that, I fought in Iraq. So I just felt like I never did enough, and I've always wanted to give back. And after three different wars, I was getting ready to go on my fourth one. My wife said, make a decision. Stay home or go play. So I made a decision and I retired. So I spent a third of my life in the military, and it was very rewarding for me. I felt like I did a lot of good things around the world and helped people as much as I could. And after I got out, I tried to find ways to continue to serve, even though not in the military. So the best way I found of serving is to help our veterans find work. I recently graduated from Harvard University. And a little bit about my company. So Schlumberger, again, like I mentioned, we're the largest oil field services company in the world. We've got over 100,000 people. We are in the Ukraine. We have jobs in the Ukraine. What I wanted to talk about today is something that hopefully is relevant to you, how I built the program, how to not just recruit, but attract, recruit, and retain veterans, how our program evolved, how it started, some of the problems we ran into. So this is where we are. Pretty much almost every country in the world. So we focus a lot on technology. I mean, if you're not in the industry, a lot of people don't know who Schlumberger is. So when I built the program, it was important for us to build our brand, our name, our reputation within the market of attracting veterans, because you had brands like Facebook, Google, Apple. We're competing against those companies. And if you're not in oil and gas, you probably don't know Schlumberger. So my mission was to create our brand, our name, so people in the veteran community would know who we are and want to come to work for us. So this is our mission. Veterans get the job done, no matter what. Just a little quick story, my flight here got canceled by Air France. I had to take the next flight. And I came from Houston. I came from the other side of the world to speak to you and hope to share what I know with you. I've been up for 30 hours, have not slept, but the mission came first. You know, I'm driving on, and that's what veterans bring to your organization. And that's why we want to hire veterans. The second thing is to build our brand, like I mentioned, to let the veteran community know who we are. It's kind of like winning hearts and minds. You have to win their hearts and minds, and that way people want to come work for us. Here's our program. So we don't just go out and just recruit. We start doing things within the veteran community. Now, the veteran community is a very small community. Word gets around, reputation gets around. So what we do is we focus on two things in the veteran community in the U.S. One is we help veterans transition, and we also help them recover. So recovery from wounds from wars, wounds from mental wounds, from physical wounds, and also disaster relief. So we had hurricane disasters, and we have veteran organizations that stepped up to help the community. Schlumberger as an organization supports those organizations by giving them money, but also we also volunteer our employees to those organizations to help the community and veteran community. By doing so, we built a pipeline of candidates, of people who now know the Schlumberger name, and then we recruit them. And after we recruit them, you know, we recruit them for several different jobs. Obviously, what we do, we hire a lot of mechanical and electrical technicians, people, military who worked on vehicles, aircraft. But there's another group of people that we hire. It's also officers, high-ranking officers, because we want to build our next crop of leadership. And what we do is when we hire them on, we put them through a rotation program where they work 1 year out in the field as field engineer, as a supervisor, and then we bring them into the corporate office, either finance or HR or marketing. And the reason for that is we are building our next group of leaders, and they need to be able to manage a whole business in different segments. If they're a vice president of a segment, they need to manage all the operations, the finance, the HR, all of that. And then we send them to different countries. So that's the third piece, because we want them to have global exposure, so they're culturally aware, because our company is very international. And once they've gone through 3 years of rotational, then we put them to management, could be a director, could be vice president. And finally, once we hire them, we want to make sure that we mentor them and we develop them. So we constantly have career development sessions to help them grow their career, so they don't get stuck in one single job, and continue to develop, because that's how you keep people. So the next few slides are just pictures. When I went out to do the community service to create that fan base, to create that pipeline, to get the Schlumberger name out there, here's examples of some of the things I did. So every year we have Memorial Day. Other countries call it Armistice Day. So we laid out 1,000 flags at Veterans Memorial cemeteries. And these are Schlumberger employees that volunteered. Last year we laid out 1,000. This year we were laying out 2,000. And it just gets the community involved, gets our employees some are veterans and some are not, just to get involved. We have a thing called OTC, which is Offshore Technology Conference. It's a very big conference for oil and gas. Unless you're in the industry, it's very hard to get in. So what we did is we sponsored 24 veterans. We brought them to OTC. We paid for it, just to get them to introduce the industry. And we also told them, go talk to our competitors, learn more about the industry. Because we're confident enough that, you know, if they see what we're doing to help them, you know, if they work for our competitors, that's fine. But I think most of them are going to end up working for us. We also do a lot of hiring, but we hire on our campus. So we bring in veterans from all over, and Next Op helped us with bringing these veterans. Normally when you go to a job fair, you hire maybe 5% of the people that you meet. Well, with this job fair that we had in-house, we hired 82%. So 17 people actually showed up, and we made offers to 14 people and hired them. The reason for that is they came to us. They already knew who we are. They knew what jobs that we're hiring for, and they were qualified for it. And then another thing I do is I go on the military bases. I teach veterans how to better transition, how to write resumes, how to better interview. Because when you go to the military and you transition out, nobody teaches this. And the government gives you a small class, but it's not very effective. We wanted to go out to show them how a resume should be written based on what our HR recruiters look for. We also teach them how to interview correctly. We do a lot of community projects where we invite veterans to our location to understand our business. We give them tours. And again, it's going out there, reaching out with the community, getting to know them, getting them to know us. Here's a veteran group that's just women. They help veterans that are women get clothes, professional clothes, to better interview. But I also came out there with my team and taught them the same thing, which basically was how to write an effective resume, how to interview correctly, and also how to use LinkedIn properly, and how to sell themselves. So with all those, what we did, we won Military Friendly Employer of 2018. And the program is constantly evolving. These are our next steps. So we're continuing evolving, continuing to build a foundation in the US. The National Apprenticeship Program. What this is the government gives a veteran an extra monthly stipend for coming to work for us. We have certain positions that are included in this apprenticeship program. It took a long time to get. But once approved, if they come work for us, they get, I don't know how to translate this, but an average of $1,800 a month extra to come work for us instead of our competitors. And they get this for 2 years. The government pays for this because our US military has what we call GI Bill. You go join the military, they pay for college, they can use this money to pay for this training. And another thing is we have employees who are currently in the reserves, which means they're our employees, but they come part-time work as military. When they get called up, if we need to go to war, they go to war for a year. We have hurricanes, disasters, they get sent out to help relief efforts. And what the United States government does is makes an employer hold that veteran's job for 5 years. That's it. So if you leave, you come back, you still have your job. But there's nothing else. What we do, we go above and beyond that. So when they get called up on active duty, we match their salary, because for many people who join the military, we don't join it for money. So for example, just make math easy. Let's say they make $10 a year with us, and they go to the military to do their service, they get paid $5. We'll match the other $5 for a year. And our message is that we want you to go complete your mission, be safe, get home to your families, and get home to us. We don't want you to have to worry about money. And what that sends the message is that we really care for our veterans, for our employees. And this year, I'm expanding the program internationally to Canada, UK, New Zealand, and Australia. And I have plans to do it in Ukraine, part in 2019. So that's all I have. I'll be out here later on. You can feel free to come speak to me. I came across from the other side of the world to talk to you. So please don't hesitate to come talk to me.